All right, guys, welcome into the Garden Report. NBA draft in the books. Celtics made a couple of picks. Whatever. That's not the story. The story is Gordon Hayward is still a Celtic for now. For now. We don't know for how much longer, okay? The clock is ticking. It is officially Thursday, which means today, 5 p.m., Gordon Hayward is either going to opt in or opt out of the Celtics, of his final year of his Celtics contract, or be traded. Something's going to happen. Whatever it is newsworthy. So let's break down where we are today. Some talk about Hayward possibly being packaged and sent to Atlanta, which showed some interest. Possibility of a sign-and trade. We don't really know. Brad Stevens was asked about him in the pre-draft press conference. Sounded like he was delivering a eulogy. It sounds like they
sounds
know
like Brad Stevens, man.
I know. It sounds look, or maybe he's just saying, I'm too close to this thing. I respect the guy enough and I have a personal relationship. I'm not tipping here what I know or don't know. So yeah, we can't read too much into what Brad said. However, I think everything has been trending towards Gordon Hayward's not going to be a Celtic long term, whether he opts out and goes and signs elsewhere or is traded. But this could happen in a few hours, and that's it. And then we know. So, guys, where do you think this thing stands? Jimmy, I'll start with you.
I couldn't even begin to guess where it stands, but I can tell you that I said this in the past show. I'm surprised that it kind of got to this point. I mean, obviously, the way things have gone with the injuries and whatnot, I guess I shouldn't be. But with me, I just think Gordon Hayward is, when he's healthy, and I know it's a big when or a big if, he is such a good fit for this current roster. So what I really want to know is if Danny Ainge thinks this current roster is good enough to compete with Brooklyn or Philadelphia, or if you want to go out west, some of those teams out there. If he does, then I think you give it a final shot with Gordon Hayward, or you try to extend him. You do everything you can to try to extend him, because like we know is they'll lose him for nothing if they don't. So I mean, for me, I'm thinking Celtics, Hayward, try to come to some common ground with an extension, and if it doesn't work out after this season or whatnot, you still have the ability to trade him. And I don't think it's going to end on a sour note with both sides. So that's what I would.
Well, that's what you would like to think happens, Bobby. I know you also want to see them just pay the guy, because you think that right now, and I don't disagree. I don't know whether he's worth whatever you pay him. I just know that if you don't,
well, that's the key. Yeah.
You're probably going to be worse too, and the Celtics have to know that also. So it just comes down to what, and it comes down to luxury tax, and how far over you want to go, and this and that. But forget about what they should do. Bobby, what do you think they will do?
They'll deal him one way or another. He's not going to walk outright. If all of a sudden he walks to Atlanta, which I feel is a real possibility, the Celtics are going to get something out of that. Now, we've tossed around all of these different ideas all day, ranging from John Collins to Clint Capella after the Hawks drafted a center in Onyeka Okongwu today. It's not going to happen. They have $44 million in cap space. There's no incentive whatsoever for them to give up anything. So what you get out of it is a player exception. It's not nothing. It's going to be a sizable exception, actually, upwards of $30 million that the Celtics can use for salary matching, which we know is their biggest weakness when it comes to making trades now. So, but that's next to nothing if he ends up going the Atlanta route. And I think that's still a strong possibility. The teams around the league that the Celtics want to do a sign and trade with are weary about signing Gordon Hayward for 3 to 4 years. And that's what Hayward's looking for right now.
So again, I'm going to say, I've said it before and I'll say it again. If teams are weary to make that sign and trade deal with the Celtics for Hayward for 3 years, then why is Atlanta comfortable just dumping that money on him right now? It makes,
because they need to use it.
I don't believe there's only one team out there that's willing to pay him and nobody else. And that one team has to be the one that has the cap space and is there. And that Gordon also wants to go there. I do believe there's a little bit of, smoke going on there.
I think it's natural, though. It's not like Atlanta and Hayward are coordinating, trying to conspire or something. There's a real suitor in Atlanta.
We don't know that. So we don't know that. I mean, again,
situationally, it just makes sense. I know you're big on Gallinari.
You're hearing Atlanta linked to several other players. They can't sign all of them. So I don't think Hayward,
they could feasibly.
If Hayward was priority one, I believe he would have opted out. Atlanta would have signed him, and then everyone would know it. That's not happening. So I don't know that this.
No, I don't think it's priority number one. But
Yeah.
again, we have three sides at work here. The teams receiving Hayward, the Celtics, and Hayward himself. They all have different priorities, and those other teams wanting to get Hayward for a fair deal is getting in the way of possible destinations for him.
There's just no reason for Atlanta to have to worry about what Boston needs to do to pull off some creative three-way to get Hayward if he can just opt out and sign there.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I don't think.
Yeah.
No, not to cut you up, but I don't think that's where Hayward really wants to go either. I think that's probably
it's true. Yeah,
the Celtics are saying, all right, Gordon, extend it, and we'll both try to work and see if we can find something else on another.
Let's see if we can find another spot for you. And that's what
Right.
I believe. I believe that the likely scenario is Hayward doesn't want Atlanta. Maybe Atlanta does want him or would be interested in at least talking to him. Otherwise, he would just go. So maybe he's saying, either pay me or trade me somewhere else that will pay me because I don't want to opt in or opt out and only have two choices. If you opt out and your two choices are New York and Atlanta, he doesn't want either.
And what does that say, John? He has a little bit of leverage here. If the Atlanta thing was fake, no team, he'd have nothing. And the Celtics.
I think what John's trying to say is that it's a bluff.
It's a bluff. The reason he doesn't is
if it wasn't a bluff, it would have happened already. Like
if he opts in, the Celtics send him anywhere.
Yeah.
Yes, but for that bluff to be legitimate, there needs to be real interest. And the Celtics, if they thought this was just a bluff and there was nothing out there for him, would they be shopping him left and right? They'd just be laughing at him and saying, sign the paper. There's
Not
real
a
interest
bluff.
in him out
It's
there.
mutually beneficial for the
That's
Celtics.
that's where I am.
Yeah,
I think they both went into it. I think they were both on the same page. I think they did work together, but I think at the same time, maybe Gordon Hayward got his feelings hurt. Let's face it. Gordon thought that he was a piece that for the future. I think Gordon loves Boston. I just think obviously things haven't unfolded the way he would like them to, and I think he's a little hurt that the Celtics would consider getting rid of him. And I a lot of Celtics fans would be like, well, why would they? The Celtics have to protect their best interests, obviously, but at the same time, if you're Gordon Hayward, you're trying to work out a deal where, okay, maybe I'm not getting the same amount as the first big contract, but can we get something close to it? And I just don't think the Celtics are willing to do that. Now, I think Gordon Hayward's camp is going to threaten the Celtics and say, oh yeah, well, if you don't do it, then we'll opt out and go elsewhere. But I think the Celtics aren't necessarily, I thought that they thought that they could try to come up with a move, a sign and trade move by the draft, and here we are. So right now, if you're the Celtics, you have to kind of convince, or at least start to convince Gordon to stay. Yeah. I think you have to convince Gordon that he needs to opt in to prove to the entire league that he can still make that kind of money.
But if he opts in,
from the very beginning. But John, if he opts out, I don't think Gordon is necessarily excited about playing in New York or another team or somewhere where I get my big payday. But where am I in 3 years trying to cling on to a contender and no one wants me anymore?
Well, if he opts in with the idea that the Celtics might still trade him, he just has to still go into it saying, all right, I'm still betting on myself here. Wherever they trade me, I just have to have a healthy, productive season, and then I can go where I want to go in the next free agency season.
But at $34 million, though, I don't know.
If he opts in,
maybe I'm okay. Maybe I'm safe.
If he opts in, it's because what's available now, in terms of money and a place he wants to go, isn't enough. So he takes the 34 and rolls the dice on the next year.
I don't see it. I think that's the least likely scenario.
Unless there's some team out there really trying to give Gordon Hayward $70 million, a guy who hasn't played a healthy season since I was freaking early 20s.
Yeah.
Okay, if that happens, I'm not in my early 20s anymore, guys. You guys.
If that happens, the Celtics are in big trouble.
They could be. But what I will say is this. I don't know. At some point, you have to wonder what it says about the Celtics organization.
100%. We didn't think we'd get here.
No, but I'm saying if you bring in Al Horford and he's the first good free agent that you land, and then he leaves you for a better deal, and you trade for Kyrie Irving, and he was an asshole, and we all know that, but you do everything you can to placate him, and he leaves you. And then Gordon Hayward is another big victory free agent for a team. For all of these years, Jimmy, I covered the team, and we covered them. We would always say, free agents will never come here. We'd always be scraping the bottom of the barrel, getting the dregs, the 10th rate guys, and just what was it? Sheldon, who do I forget who that anyway, you'd
Sheldon
get
Williams.
Jason
that wasn't
Terry.
who I was thinking of.
Jason Terry, yeah.
Oh, it's killing me that I can't think of who I was thinking of. Anyway, that's who you'd get, and then now you get
Rasheed
these
Wallace.
guys, and then they leave you. First chance they get, first option, first opt out. You'd have 3 premium players choosing to leave if Hayward opts out.
Jermaine
At what
O'Neal.
point do you look inward and say, like, is there something wrong, Jordan? Like,
We know what's wrong here. We would be feeling this way last year if Kemba Walker never came, but he put the Band-Aid over the damage of the 2019 season.
Yeah, until
Hayward is still linked to that situation, and there's so much bad feeling there. There's so much that is stemmed from that in terms of his role, in terms of the situation, and all of a sudden you're still looking at the ramifications of that awful year, one of the worst years in Celtics history.
It was bad. The only good news here is that we're going to know very soon and we can stop speculating. But it is wild that we're back in this place in this offseason after last year where everything fell apart. Your entire world fell apart with Kyrie leaving, the Anthony Davis thing collapsing because Kyrie was no longer here, and that was always your plan, into Al all of a sudden leaving, into complete scramble mode, having to trade Aaron Baines, getting lucky that Kemba came here.
Picking a bunch of young guys. And Hayward was broken, man.
Mashing this roster together, bringing in Daniel Tice, making him your center, and it just worked, and they got lucky. They got away with it. They
were 2 games from the finals. It was unreal.
Barely hanging on, and it blew apart. I mean, you got another offseason where this happens. This could really hurt the franchise. So again, Jimmy, go ahead.
Let's face it too, guys. If there's no shutdown with the Kemba Walker, the condition that he was in March, did the team even get to the Eastern Conference Finals? I mean, I don't know.
Yes and no. I mean, to John's points, they're true about the free agents coming and going, and you have Danny Ainge, who I think a lot of players are hesitant. I mean, I'm not basing that on anything of my own opinion, but I think players are hesitant to believe Danny Ainge because he'll trade Isaiah Thomas, he'll
trade Kemba. We saw the last week.
He'll obviously trade Kemba. So there's that aspect of it too. So you got to wonder what players think of the culture here. But the one thing I will say, and where the Celtics can rest on, is that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are the backbone of the organization and the team right now, and they're not going anywhere. And if you can, as long as you can get those guys to stay and to buy into the culture and to buy into the team, you can build around those guys. You got to hope, though.
I know, and again, I've been saying it for the last how long. It's you're building for their future. It's not necessarily the team's future, not the team's immediate future, but building a roster around those guys.
How they drafted tonight.
When Jalen's up in 23 and the clock starts ticking on Tatum's 3rd contract, you better be in a position where you've got space and freedom and flexibility and some stuff around you that you can work with, and the ability to bring in another player or a 3rd star to keep those guys happy. And I think that's, again, they're looking many years down the road, not just next year in terms of what they need to do. But you're right. You lose a big chip if Hayward just opts out, and that money is gone, and it's going to be hard you can't replace it. So we're going to have the answer to that. We're going to have the answer. And then whatever happens, we're going to talk about it. We're probably going to kill Hayward, and then we'll kill Danny. It's just
and then we'll kill ourselves.
And then we'll kill ourselves. Yeah.
So if you to cap it off, the final pick of the night for the Celtics, Yam Madar, whoever that is.
Hear that.
You know what? Bleep that entire thing out of this video. I don't want to hear that again.
Yeah. Segments brought to you by Manscaped. 20% off free shipping code Garden20 at manscaped.com. Once again, 20% off free shipping with the code Garden20 at manscaped.com. Gordon Hayward D-Day is here. We will find out what Gordon is going to do or what the Celtics are going to do with Gordon one way or another by the end of today. Yep. So thanks for watching us.